On today's show, I'm going to show you why this bearish divergence over here, which is presenting a potential top coming in for Bitcoin, is going to be a little bit different to the other Bitcoin tops, and it may actually provide a massive opportunity. So let's get straight into the show. If you have a look over here, there is a token which stands out like a sore thumb. It's FTT on the crypto bubbles chart, up 84.6%. So new news just came in that they basically found a whole bunch of money. Surprise, surprise, with FTX, and they're looking to relaunch the exchange. We'll dive into that a little bit closer to the time and the benefit that that might have for tokens like Solana. So let's get straight into it. Yesterday, of course, the main event, the high impact event which drove the markets, was definitely the release of the CPI data. And here's basically a summary of what the Fed minutes went like. Remember that came in better than expected by 0.1%. So this is the Fed minutes that came after that meeting, and that's kind of where we get guidance of what may come next for the market. So this summary basically says, number one, the Fed officials lower their target interest rates due to the banking crisis. That's a big deal for the markets. Number two, several officials considering pausing rate hikes in March. And then number three, you have Fed projects a mild recession starting in 2023. So at least for the time being, it's projected as mild and not a severe recession. Number four, all of the officials backed a 25 basis point rate hike in March. So that should be almost priced in at this point already. And then number five, US government ran $378 billion deficit in March, and the Fed knows they have finally broken something, which means that there's a higher probability that they'll start to ease onto the markets. And if you look over here from Charlie, he also has this chart which basically suggests that in the past 55 years, every time that the Fed fought high inflation is anytime CPI was above 5%, and they try to combat that using rate hikes, then a recession did soon follow. So it's in agreement with what they said. It seems like ultimately at some point during the course of this year, they'll probably announce that the market is in a recession. And then Dylan Leclerc also has an interesting chart over here looking at the core CPI, the Fed funds rate, and then the 2-year note yields over here from the US. And he does say that the core CPI is still above the Fed funds rate. The Fed cannot cut without unleashing a massive second wave of inflation with trillions of excess liquidity still in the system. Inflation is here to stay until the labor market sees some real weakness. So it's definitely going to prevent massive ranges for traders. Investors might struggle a little bit in these types of environments because the markets are going to be wild. It creates that whipsaw effect where essentially you have markets swinging from massive range highs all the way back down to new range lows, and oftentimes that creates those expanding megaphone patterns. You can Google what that is, you'll see what I'm talking about, and basically price can swing with massive swings. If you look here at TED Talks, he shows here that the current market pricing for the Fed rates in 2023 shows that in May, 25 basis points. Then it looks like they're going to pause in June. Then July, another 25 basis point cut. September, 25 basis point cut. November, back to 0 basis points. And then December, a cut. So again, a lot of whipsaw around over there, but ultimately they're taking the end of year Fed funds rate target range down to 4.2% to 4.5%. So it is showing that it is coming down, and that is basically what we're looking at for the markets at the moment. So today we do have something important coming out as well, and this is one of the main indicators that they look at with regards to inflation, and that's going to be the core PPI, which is coming out at least at 2:30 my time. If you're in the US, I think it's about 8 a.m. your time. So that will be interesting. Let's have a look at how that comes out. If that comes out better than expected as well, then the markets could catch a bid. But when you look at the price charts over here, this has been a long time target of ours. You'll see this number is going to come up on a repeatable basis, and the number is 32,289. So anywhere between about $32,000 and $33,000 for Bitcoin is where you would expect a little bit of a pause within the market. I'm not saying that you're going all the way down to 10K or anything of those sorts from here, but I would expect a little bit of a pause and possibly a pullback from that region. And you can see that lines up with the 20 MA, the 20 moving average on the monthly chart. We do have now the 7 moving average, which is starting to move up more aggressively over here. And once that crosses the the monthly 50 MA, which is the pink one, that will be a very, very positive sign and show strong level of support. So where would that cross take place? Well, you can anticipate it's going to happen still in quite a while, most likely around June. And then you're going to have enormous support around that $25,000 to $26,000 level. So basically any price pullbacks into those zones are most likely going to be buying opportunities. You can see the MACD will also eventually have a chance to cross towards the upside. The histogram is getting lighter and lighter, and soon we'll start to print green bars. And once you cross the zero line over here, that's when the fun really begins. I would anticipate that the cross of the zero line would coincide with Bitcoin breaking above this 20 MA, and then you've cleared all the important moving averages and the market can start to move into a much more healthy fashion. You got the same with the stochastic RSI tracking on up. So we identified this all the way back over here. That was in December. That was one of the reasons that we were looking for a potential chance for some upside momentum. And then you have the normal RSI, which has reclaimed its yellow moving average. And the yellow moving average will also start to curl back up, showing high time frame, very high time frame. It's still looking pretty good. Then if you look over here on the weekly Gaussian channel, it lines up in a similar place to what I just showed you with the 20 MA on the monthly chart. That's coming in at 31,965. So again, you can anticipate that this region is going to provide a little bit of resistance. The same thing over here. If you're playing this from liquidity to liquidity, so here's the next liquidity. The next drawn liquidity is going to be this candle on the left-hand side on the weekly chart, also coming in at 32,424. I do think that level gets tagged, and then it's just a question of what happens once it gets tagged. Do we start to pull back from there, or do we just pause and consolidate into that region? You guys know by now, when you consolidate against resistance, it usually leads to a massive breakout. It's basically what's happened every single time. Remember the consolidation over here against the 200 moving average, the orange one, and then you had a big breakout consolidation over here into the mid-range at 28,000. Which was very big resistance on the weekly chart, and look at that, a big expansive move through that level has since commenced as well. Same thing over here as yesterday. We've shown this chart. It's looking like this 28,000 area is now flipping into support. I would anticipate that any pullbacks that come into this region, 28,000 would be a buying opportunity. The real level that I'm looking at though is actually about 29,000, so just a little bit higher. I'm not sure that you even get to 28,000 in the short term. Okay, if you look at the NASDQ over here, correlated with Bitcoin, this is also usually provide a high level of correlation. And at the moment, this is one of the most extended Bitcoins ever been in relation to the NASDQ. So if you have a look over here, Bitcoin is the white line, and then the orange one over here is the NASDQ. Should have probably been the other way around since Bitcoin's meant to be orange. But nevertheless, there it is. You can see a big expansive phase over here. So you would expect that there would be some sort of mean reversion between the two where they kind of diverge back towards each other. Bitcoin likely pulls back a little bit and the NASDQ pushes up a little bit higher so that they can meet at the usual correlation that they have. Also, if you look over here at this chart, this essentially is showing the relationship between bonds and the VIX, the volatility index, and the Goldman Sachs strategists are now saying that they see that the VIX is most likely going to pick up. We haven't pulled up the VIX for quite some time, so I thought today might be a good day to do that. If there is going to be also a mean reversion between the VIX and the bonds, then you'd be expecting the VIX to pick on up. And if you look at the VIX over here, again, it's been contracting into this region over here, also suggesting that maybe now is the time to start to be more cautious and not go mega long into resistance. The time for longing was much lower when we're at major support. Now you would be not to say that you want to close out all your positions, but more that you want to be a little bit defensive, right? If you have divergences, bearish divergences playing out on the Bitcoin chart, and then you also have major resistances on the high time frame paired with the volatility being very low over here on the VIX, and you're looking for the same area where it usually contracts into, you have a little bit of an expansive phase, then it would be probably wise to expect that maybe there is going to be a little bit of a pullback from this area. Not only that, but also to mention, yesterday we did get another tag of the range high over here on the S&P 500. So you can see the way that that candle came into there. And since since we've been pulling back. So keep an eye out on this. The correlation is real. The big divergence between Bitcoin and the NASDQ, it all suggests that there might be a little bit of a mean reversion that comes into play, suggesting just a slight pullback for the markets. So this account over here by Dennis, he basically suggests that if you look at Bitcoin dominance, and he says now that it's so-called back in price discovery mode, right? Bitcoin dominance broke above those all-important range highs. As you can see over here, let's quickly grab it. As you can see, it's broken above the range highs over there. He says the next chart that you want to watch is the stablecoin flows. Looking at stablecoin MC to reverse before the doors will actually fly open for the altcoin casino. Remember the good old times of back-to-back double-digit gains. So for those of you maybe new here, I'm not sure how many people would be new here because it seems like we're still in very much bear market vibes where we don't have that much hype that's come back into the market yet. Let me know in the comments, are you new here? Also, let's do a quick check. Are you guys present? I see we have Blurred, we have Renee, Ali, Eagle, we have Clay, Tyron, we have Remco, Marks, all the same usual faces are here. Are there any new faces? Let me know if there's any new faces over here. Also, smash the like button. It does help the algorithm to get the show out there. I'd really, really appreciate it. Smash the like button. Also, both Josh and James get paid based off how many likes the show gets, and they do want to get paid this month. Okay, let's have a look over here. So basically what he's saying is, if the stablecoin supply starts to increase, then you know that there's going to be a healthy market, right? This is something that we've outlined a whole bunch over here. So we can pull out the liquidity chart. You can see liquidity is starting to dry up once again. If you look at the net US liquidity, it is starting to come down. If you look at the People's Bank of China, which is this one over here, also coming down. And then the major central banks are pretty much remaining flat over there. But the big one and the main driver of crypto over here is this one. And that's exactly what Dennis is talking about in the prior tweet. So if you look at the stablecoin supply, you want to see that this starts to tick on up. And so far, it's still in an incredibly strong downtrend. And you can pair up the correlation, right, with the prior all-time highs. So this is where the market topped, the vertical line that's printed over here. The market topped over here. Yes, the stablecoin supply continued on for a little bit longer, and then consequently it rolls over. So you can expect the same might be true. By the time this starts to turn back up, most likely the market bottom is already in the same way that when it turned back down, the top had already been set. But it is something to keep an eye out on. You want to see this start to flatten out, and maybe just do a little bit of extra research. If you want to make serious money, you want to follow these the flow of money within the crypto sphere. So looking at how many Tether coins are being minted, USDC, and all the other stable coins. Keep a close, keen eye out on that because that will ultimately drive the markets. Now, when you look at the Bitcoin dominance over here, I don't think it's confirmed yet. And I'll tell you why. If you have a look and you zoom in, yes, we do have one close above, but we need to see more closes above here to see that Bitcoin dominance is going to continue on up. Now, Bitcoin dominance continuing on up would obviously mean that can happen in two ways, right? One way is that Bitcoin can obviously continue to grind upwards in price. So the spot price of Bitcoin can continue on up and stealing market share from the altcoins. Well, yes, the USD value of altcoins goes up. It doesn't go up as much as what Bitcoin does as a percentage. The other thing that can happen for the Bitcoin dominance to continue on up is obviously if the market does have a major sell-off. So if the market has a major sell-off and most of the money panics out of their altcoins whilst the market is coming down, Bitcoin price in spot value can still go down. So it can go 30,000 down to 28, down to 25, whilst this still increases. So just because the dominance is going up doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good for price. But what you would want to see is if Bitcoin price can maintain and hold and consolidate around this $30,000 region, while simultaneously the dominance starts to sell off. That is your best case scenario for altcoins. If you start to see an environment like that where you now see candle closes back underneath here, that would be good. And I think a lot of people have started to write altcoins off. Like, I'm definitely not in the position yet to call for an alt season, but what I would say is why would this time be any different? If you look over here, why would this time be any different? And why would there not be a rejection from this back down into the range? Ranges tend to hold. So until such time as you have a confirmed breakout, you would expect that this is most likely going to continue. Now, your hope is going to be that, and you shouldn't trade off hope, but your hope is going to be that Bitcoin maintains and consolidates sideways around that $30,000 region, and this rolls back in. If that happens, then there's going to be a great opportunity for altcoins. And it seems to be a trending theme on Twitter at the moment. A lot of people are already preemptively sort of trying to convince the market that it's time for alt season. So today we're going to look at some of these altcoins to see if the charts agree with that or not. The dollar came all the way back down to the key pivotal level over here. So let's see what's going to happen today. It's really do or die for the dollar over here. If it starts to lose this level, then you would expect that it's going to target all the way back down to this liquidity. And there is a possibility of a bounce off of this zone, but I'm not the biggest fan of double tops and double bottoms. I think that most of the time when a trend line continues to get hit and pounded over and over again, your probabilities decrease more and more. So maybe you get one bounce over here, but if you see the dollar coming back to this level for a third time around that 100 level, that's most likely going to break and then it's going much lower. Consequently, that would obviously be good for crypto. Otherwise, if you're treating a chart as a chart, this is a pivotal level. It's now the third touch of this point. Actually, if you consider all the way back from here, it's actually the fourth touch. So you start your pivot point from there. That's 1, that's 2, and then now you have point 3, and this would be the fourth touch. So remember, the probabilities decrease with each and every hit into this area, which means it's really the dollars or the DXY's final chance to bounce off of the zone. If it doesn't, you're going down to the next liquidity zone. So Total. Yesterday, Total also managed similar to the Bitcoin dominance. Remember, we compared the charts. They do look quite similar. So there you have it. There's the Bitcoin dominance. Quickly show you. Stuck in a range. It has a rising trend line over there. Same thing over here as Total, right? It's been stuck in a range. The main range, range high, mid-range, range low, diagonal trend line. You do have one close that's confirmed out here. You need to see a couple more closes. This is a 3-day close, so it is pretty significant, but you need to see another close. This can give you a clue or a hint as to what the next chart would do, which is, where is that chart again? Let's quickly grab it. The liquidity chart. Where's the liquidity chart? Here we go. This one over here. So Total can give you a hint as to if this is going to start to tick on up, because if Total starts to go up, remember that's the total market cap. It's everything. It's all crypto, and I think it includes stablecoins as well. Do you guys know? Does it include stablecoins? No stablecoins. Okay, no stablecoins in this, but nevertheless, they're deploying stablecoins to get this to go up. So keep an eye out on Total. If Total convincingly breaks out, Total 2 would be next to clear the pink box. Pink box needs to be cleared at $625 billion. Get above that, and then Ethereum starts to run with the other altcoins. And then the big one, you know, the real money is made in the lower cap, the mid cap and low cap altcoins. You'd be looking for a clean break of $395 billion. Until then, it's still resistance. It's still resistance, and patience should be employed. So here you have it. You have a bearish divergence between price and the RSI, as well as the OBV, which is coming down. Divergences, I don't trade them too often unless price is coming into a resistance level. So I look for multiple levels of confluence, right? If Bitcoin is coming into a key level of horizontal resistance, which we do know, right, between that $33,000 and about $36,000 on a high time frame, that is super strong resistance. So if I start to see a divergence come into play whilst coming into that resistance, I would take it quite seriously, and I'd be more cautious. I wouldn't just market short or just close out all my long positions, but I'll just watch for weakness. That's all you need to do. You just need to watch for weakness. You just need to watch to see, is this price going to start to turn over? If it is, you probably want to bail out of your positions quickly, because when you have a divergence, 2 drives is usually not that strong. 3 drives is pretty damn good. When you get 3 drives, so here you have 1 touch, that's 1, 2, and now you're on the third one over here on OBV, and then over here you can have a look. You also have 1, 2, and 3 drives on the RSI with price 1, 2, and now you're looking at your third touch over there. So therefore, it is a divergence that I would pay attention to. Let's keep a close eye out on that over the coming days. So Avi says over here, This is now the FTX saga. Let's first look at the bottom. 𝗍𝗿𝗆𝗃, this guy tweets a lot. You should follow him. He says over here that bankrupt crypto exchange FTX has recovered $7.3 billion in assets as per their attorney, and FTX will now consider restarting their crypto exchange in the second quarter, also as per the FTX attorney. So magically, they just found $7.3 billion. Please let me know in the comments. Are you going to trade on FTX? I would love to know. Do you think there's any reason to go there? Would you be scared? Let me know yes or no. Would you trade on FTX? Yes or no? Light up the comment sections over there, yes or no. But 𝗍𝗲 says that there could potentially be one good use case over here. So he says FTX restarting should be great for Solana. Currently, it's hard to get assets over. FTX was a major portal since the piping still does exist. Then if they restart, it would open up Solana to inflows from casual speculators once again. And then he says right now, it's too hard to get over to the chain. So there we have it. If you look over here, it's like a video game. You know, SBF likes his video games. He says over here, or at least they say, Sam Bankman-Fried played FTX like a video game. Exchange might have one life left. So he's been respawned and he might have one life left. And 𝗍𝗆𝗃 says over here also around altcoins. I'm going to look at Solana, by the way, now. He says the winners, because remember we had the Shanghai upgrade. Seems like everything ran smoothly and they didn't dump 55,000 ETH. Surprise, surprise. He says, yeah, the winners ETH will, because there'll be less selling than anticipated, and then the other winners are going to be the layer 2s, which is going to be the next narrative from 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗍𝗶𝗃. The losers are going to be Bitcoin with ETH de-risk. There's not all insto flow gets funneled back to BTC, and then some will rotate into ETH. Remember, there's also from a BTC perspective, there is still the Mt. Gox overhang, which is also there, whereas now ETH doesn't have that overhang anymore, right? So it could be a valid point. And then the other loser is going to be the LSD tokens, less growth in staking participation than was expected. So what you can do, if you want to identify the real alpha over here, is going to be the layer 2s as the next narrative. Go through to CoinGecko. You can go over here, guys, just to show you how this works. If you go to categories, let me click on it. I'll show you. Categories, you can scroll through over here. Look, it shows you everything. Smart contracts, BNB, ecosystem, stablecoins, etc., etc. And then all you want to do is you look for the layer 2s. There you go. There, click on that, layer 2s. These are the potential layer 2s at the moment. So you do your own research, find out which ones could be worthwhile. We know Arbitrum's a big hit. I'm still going to wait for Arbitrum price to come down a little bit more. I might miss an entry. I mean, I'm not religious about these coins. For me, it's just a trade opportunity. You guys know that I look for when a new coin launches, so an ICO, IDO, or if you look in the stock markets, an IPO, anytime that it launches, once you create a local top, there's usually a minimum of a 50%, and that's in IPOs, in the traditional markets, minimum 50% sell-off, and then basically price goes through a reaccumulation phase and then goes high up. In crypto, it's usually actually around 70%. I will wait for 50%, and then I'll consider scaling into Arbitrum. There's another good one, Optimism. You guys know he has the list, so take a look at some of those. Those could be worthwhile to look at. I might add them to my dollar cost average portfolio over here. So you guys know I have a lot already of the layer 1s and crypto gaming portfolios. Here's the current results. I'll zoom in. So Bitcoin position up 18.6%. We have the gaming up 19.37%, and then the layer 1s and layer 2s are negative 1.42%. So remember, this is a long-term play that we're holding over the course of an entire year. OKX do offer amazing bots. That's definitely something I do recommend if you do want to check out OKX. Oh yes, I have to mention that as well. They have their competition, right? So click on the link in the description below. They do also have a competition. It's not too late to join. There's still 39 days before the grand prize. And here, where are the prizes? Here are the prizes. Here you go. So this week we'll be giving away 2 Manchester City Football Club tickets, and then you get 7 nights in Maldives, and then you get a Tesla Model 3 as the grand prize. Everything is there. Just click on the link, join. Each trade that you take will be an entry. This counts as a trade. If you want to set up your DCA bots, you can do that as well. Okay. Now, all the hype about ETH BTC, let's see what the chart looks like. You'll remember yesterday we outlined this as the main chart, right? You can see very, very clearly this has been a key pivotal level. So you have this parallel channel, which is held nicely. You got the middle level of the channel. You can see the reaction within each of these zones. Look at that. Every single time price seems to be respecting the middle of the channel. And then you had the major tops which were set in over there. So key horizontal level is coming in this level, which is going to be 0.053 to 0.055. So that's kind of the main level of interest. But it seems like people are starting to hype up Ethereum already, that it's going to run now. And to me, the chart doesn't say so yet, but sometimes Twitter sentiment can really get the ball rolling, and it is possible that, call it market manipulation or whatever it is that you will, it doesn't matter. You can still technically trade it. So what I would say is, as long as the ETH BTC chart holds above this level over here, you can see a clear horizontal. That level is 0.0624, 0.0624. As long as that level holds, then potentially you want to take a risky long. Of course you can. You can take a risky long over there, and basically your invalidation will just be if there's any price action that comes underneath the prior wick, which is over here, then you would expect that this is going to roll over and go further. My ultimate target would definitely be somewhere within this box, which is still going to be a long way away. For that to happen, you'd imagine Bitcoin dominance would have to continue soaring, and ETH BTC chart would have to sell off. So let's have a look at ETH. See what ETH is doing. Still very range bound as well, similar to Bitcoin. We're looking for a new range to get established over here, which is going to be this area. This is kind of the new range between 1400 and 2000. I mean, you cannot deny it. There it is. That's going to be resistance. So if you are going to go long on ETH, you're longing pretty much directly into resistance. Alternatively, you can wait for if there is going to be some sort of a pullback towards that 1700 level. I would think that this range is going to hold for quite some time. I'm not anticipating that we're just going to have a mega breakout and go all the way up. If obviously you clear above this level, because trading is all a game of probabilities, and it's a if this then that scenario, because nobody really knows. Guys, I know you guys watch a lot of YouTube out there, you watch it and you follow a lot of traders. I promise you that none of them can say with 100% certainty that price is going to do this or that price is going to do this. Nobody knows. You have to have a plan for both scenarios. So if price does get back above this range level and starts to hold over there, then yes, that will start to open up massive long opportunities. You'll be losing a little bit of upside potential, so between 1900 and 2020, and then you can start to establish a position from there. It's better to be safe than sorry. Why would you long over here and then it turns over like this? I mean, you're going to lose all your money. That's not very smart. The aim of this game is to treat it like a marathon and not a sprint. You want to be trading for years and years and compounding your account time and time again. You don't want to be taking these one-hit wonders and then you blow your whole account and everything's gone, and then what? Then you have to start from zero. I really encourage you to have a look at a chart like this. Let's just see. It's the percentage gain. There we go. Have a look at this. Percentage gain versus percentage loss. All you have to do is click on that. I've shown this before, but I'll show it to you guys again. Very simple. When you can wrap your head around this, you lose 5% of your portfolio. You now need 5.3% to win everything back. Why did I click that? Let's go back there. Okay, you lose 10%, you need 11.1%. Let's go up higher. You lose 50% of your account. You now need 100% ROI on a trade or an investment to get back to break even, to get back to the 50%. Let's see now where some of these, I know a lot of you guys, I'm sorry, I'm probably going to make some of you depressed today, but it's okay. You learn from your lessons and you move forward in life. Some of you I know are already in this 80 to 90% region, which means you need between 400 and 900% return on investment just to break even. Is that going to happen? I don't know. Very unlikely. I mean, it's a bit of a difficult task. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you do take your trades and understand where the risks lie. Okay, next. Ethereum. Ethereum's in an interesting place. They do also have their phone launch, which is supposed to be today. So let's see what happens with that. But here it is, very simple, clean trend line. We broke through. I did show you guys and identify this when we're coming closer to the chart. And this is often how it is, guys. This is how these breakouts happen. Look at that. You couldn't really wait for candle close outside of this line. The next candle was just a straight expansive move. I told you once you break this level, you'll be looking at potentially a 30 to 35% move, which will take you into the next resistance zone, which is horizontal resistance. So far, things are looking good over here for Solana. Look, you need to get above the pink box, but the way that I treat it is you got another pivot line over here, another trend line. I would be looking for a push, probably going to go into that resistance. I would anticipate that there is going to be some selling pressure from there. And then when eventually you get that big pullback, it might only come in May. That's going to be an opportunity over there to go long, because now you have a break of the main structure over here. You still yet to clear this important level. Even better would be this, if you had to see, if you saw Solana break above these levels and then still come back down, then at least you've cleared this main pink zone over here, which horizontal resistance is going to be stronger than the diagonal, right? Diagonal is secondary resistance, and horizontals for me are primary and more important. Okay. So we'll keep an eye out on that. There is going to be opportunities in the future on altcoins, and let's see, maybe this could be the final bottom. If that was, that's great. Next, let's have a look. Okay, I also want to keep an eye out on Dogecoin. It's not really chart-wise in an incredibly interesting place, but just watch it. If you see a nice opportunity, if there is some sort of big sell-off and you can get lower prices, then consider getting in, or if you have a nice technical support, because there is going to be 420, right? 420 is Elon's, like one of Elon's favorite days. I wouldn't be surprised if he says something around Doge on 420. How many days away is that? That's like 7 days away. So next week, Thursday, exactly 1 week from now, is going to be 420. If you can find a nice clean level to get an entry on Doge, let's say, maybe just hypothetically speaking, let's say that this sells off and it comes into the range lows over here, and that's on Wednesday, and you start to bounce. There's an opportunity. Set along, 420 is coming. Elon, the 𝗍𝗿𝗆𝗍, he loves to pump this stuff. He loves to pump it. You don't know what he's going to do. And I think it's always worth a small little gamble, at least a little gamble on something like that. Okay, which other coins look good? I know that Josh also mentioned to me that 𝗟𝗏 doesn't look too bad. So let's pull up 𝗟𝗏. So here's 𝗟𝗏. Also, same thing, range bound, right? Range bound. You have a couple of trend lines over here. Let's see if it can hold the orange one. If we did bring this chart up, I think also a couple of weeks ago. There's a thumbnail that has a couple of tokens on with percentages and something about altcoins. I don't know, guys. I don't make the thumbnails. I'll show it to you now. Feel free to go back on there. I outlined all the different altcoins. We went through a whole list. It's still relevant because I said eventually these coins are going to come into key levels and key zones. If you watch that show, I went through this entire list over here, and you can just go back and look at it again, and you'll see some of them were mentioned, which I'm showing you now, like 𝗟𝗏. Okay, deviation, bigger deviation, possible other deviation over here. If that happens, that could be a big move all the way up to 12, clear that level, and then you're going all the way up to 17. So I'll look for that quickly before we end the show. I'll show you in a second. But ultimately, looking at this, right, as long as it holds this yellow trend line, if it loses that, it could come all the way back down to this one, which means prices can go down to 727. But you do have a candle, yesterday's candle, which is printing with a nice wick, and it could be a long opportunity with an invalidation below that. Why below that? Well, if you break below that, you're also breaking the trend line. Pretty simple, I think. Let's quickly, I'll show you guys just for the sake of the explanation. So you'd be looking at something like that, right? You break that, and then you can take feel free to adjust your TP. But I mean, if alts get running, mid-range is not out of the question. That would be an absolutely enormous trade. Very, very big trade. Next, let's quickly move on to Bitcoin, the pivot level. So the pivot level currently is sitting right over here. Let's click on that, 29,702. As long as Bitcoin stays above 29,702, then the pressure continues to remain towards the upside. But remember, we do have the bearish divergence coming in, which doesn't mean that price can't go higher, by the way. It just means that you're nearing a potential end of that rally, and you want to be cautious within those levels. If that breaks down below that level, you're looking at 29.2. This is why I said I like this $29,000 area if price pulls back as a potential area to reload. Lose that level, and then you're going all the way down to about 27, which is, there's a lot of support there. Okay. If you look at the funding rates, still in favor of the longs, the longs are at least the ones that are taking the trades. Leverage is moving towards the long side according to this, but it's not unreasonable. They have closed out a lot of their positions. If you compare to what we had on Tuesday when we had the breakout, then the funding rates were much, much higher. So some guys have closed out their positions. Spot continues to drive price up, so nothing different over there. Volatility is still expanding as per the Bollinger Bands and the BBWP indicates over here. This can continue on longer. Again, you just want to see around that $29,000 level hold. If you are in longs, if you start to come below $29,000, then I would expect that the volatility will contract again. So the volatility will come back down, and obviously price will come back down as well. And then it will be just another opportunity to reload for another leg up on the volatility, or another expansive move off the volatility indicator there. Okay, another chart that you can use over here. This is for low time frame traders. Go to that 𝗪𝗏𝗍𝗃 on Twitter. Go have a look at his page. This is from him, and I think he posts it every now and then. You can still make this by yourself as well, but essentially he overlays all the different coins, and you can kind of see when a coin is catching attention or not. So interesting, there's Solana up 19.2%. You can move it on to a low time frame. So if you're looking, the way that you would use this is if you are expecting price to bounce, right? So you're saying to yourself, hey, price is coming into a key horizontal level, and I'm looking for altcoins that are going to react first, and therefore I can long relative strength. What you'd do is you'd come to this chart as price is hitting those lower levels, and you go on, it's called the spaghetti chart. So look on his page for the spaghetti chart, and then you can link this to your trading view, and it shows you like the ones of interest right now: Luna 2, Gala, Solana, AVAX. So potentially that whole rotational game may be coming into play at the moment. So keep an eye out on that. Next, we have Bitcoin on the 4-hour chart. Same thing as yesterday. Pretty much it's been bull flag after bull flag, consolidate, big move up, bull flag, starting to create another flag over here, which could potentially lead to one more leg up. My ultimate target, I showed you guys now on the monthly chart, weekly chart, Gaussian channel, 33K, 32 to 33K. And you can see the consolidation phases are getting smaller and the pumps are getting a little bit smaller. So the move is starting to slowly but surely get exhausted. If you start to break out of this region, then you're looking at maybe that one to be the final one when you get around that 33K. And then I would expect a deeper pullback. I also like to look at how far price is extended from the moving averages. You can see the 200 EMAs over here, in line with what I said to you about the NASDQ correlation to Bitcoin. You're looking for Bitcoin to revert back to the mean towards the trend line of the NASDQ. So Bitcoin was up here. You're looking for them to converge back towards each other. Same thing over here with the moving averages, or the EMAs at least. Eventually, you're looking for some sort of a throwback into these EMAs, which means that there will be a pullback opportunity for those of you who have missed out. All right, next, BitGet. BitGet have a launch pad, so check them out. They have this ZZZ, go sleep. Please don't sleep yet, because we're not finished with the show yet. But you can register for this. Essentially, it's a project that's health related. He says that it's a 𝗪𝗿𝗃 app on Arbitrum that's focused on improving sleep quality for healthier and more productive lifestyles. So you can get into these guys. By the way, the launch pads is essentially, it's where they launch new tokens, right? IDOs are oftentimes difficult to get into, but partners of ours like BitGet and Bybit, they offer these launch pads where you can do your own research. Very, very important. A lot of these ICOs, IDOs are complete scams, so you have to do your own research, and if it checks out, then that could be something that you could take a look at. Okay, we showed the giveaway. Okay, I wanted to show you the other show. Okay, let's go over here. Make sure you like my video, please, as well. Like the video. And then I just want to show you the other one with all the tokens that I did, so I don't have to do it again. Here you go. This show over here. Go to that show over there. That's where I went through all the altcoins, and I said these altcoins are next. I told you remember the thumbnails are borderline clickbait. Just forgive us, guys. This is the way the YouTube algorithm works. I would rather have just a picture of me that's standard with 1 or 2 words every single day, same face. But I don't make the rules over here. I'm not the head designer. So go to this show over here. Feel free to just scroll through. It's got obviously timestamps and stuff. Let's click on it. It's got timestamps. So you can pretty much, if you look over there and you scroll along, it will show you everything, where the altcoins are here. So it starts at 14 minutes. This is where I went through all the altcoin plays. This is still relevant. And that's it from me, folks. I will see you all on the next video. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for watching, and cheers for now.